We have speaker request forms that you can get in the lobby or from the city clerk over to the side here. If you'll give us a little bit of information, we will recognize you at the appropriate time. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. These are items listed with a C, and they are considered routine by the City Council or have been previously addressed by the Council, and they will be passed by one motion unless a member of the City Council requests that an item be removed from consent. And I have had a request to remove item 6C from the consent agenda. This item will be heard at the June 16th Council meeting. Are there any other items to be removed from consent? Seeing none, is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Will council please vote? The consent agenda passes unanimously. We will now move on to new business. The next item on the agenda is item 24A, appointment of Caitlin Edwards as a regular member to the Youth Advisory Board. Can we have a staff report? Mr. Swenson, do you have some comments?
Mayor, can I interject real quick? I need to recuse myself from
Yes.
this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Edwards has recused himself from this issue, from this vote.
And this is an appointment of an individual to our Youth Advisory Board, which of course is one of the important bodies that advise the City Council on policy matters, and in the case of this particular body, on items and policies affecting the youth in our community.
Thank you. Any council comments? All right, seeing none, is there a motion on item 24A?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. It passes unanimously with Councilmember Edwards abstaining. All right, we're going to move on to item 24R. This is a public hearing, liquor licenses, various locations. A new restaurant liquor license, Series 12 for the Heights, located at 20783 North 83rd Avenue, Suite 112, and a new wine and beer liquor license, Series 10 for Carioca Shell number 91, located at 9060 West Northern Avenue. You have a staff report, please.
Brent Mattingly will make a brief staff report on this item.
Thank you.
Thank you. Both properties were posted in accordance with Arizona statutes. All reviewing departments recommend approval. All fees were paid. There was one comment received from the public on the liquor license, the restaurant license for the Heights. I'm sorry. And so that concludes my staff report. It is public hearing.
Okay. Thank you. Council, are there any questions for Mr. Mattingly? All right, seeing none, I declare this public hearing open. Is there anyone who would like to address this issue? I do have, come on forward. Please state your name and address for the clerk.
Andrea Lukowitz, 2600 North Central Avenue, Suite 1775 in Phoenix. I'm the attorney for the applicant for the Series 12 license for the Heights, Peoria.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know that the owner is here, looking forward to making great changes to the restaurant, and if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the owner or the representative? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
I also have a speaker request form for Paul Tribble. Mr. Tribble, are you here? No? Okay, he just wanted to then let us know that he is opposed. So this is a public hearing. Are there any other comments from any members of the audience that are here? All right, seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Council, any further discussion? Is there a motion on item 24R?
I'll motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Passes unanimously. We will now move on to item 25R.
And Brent will make the staff report on this one as well.
Thank you. All fees were paid, and staff recommends approval of this.
Okay, thank you. Council, are there any questions for Mr. Mattingly? All right, this item is 25R, public hearing, off-track wagering, license renewal, Turf Paradise, located at 6750 West Peoria Avenue. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to address this issue? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council, any discussion? All right, seeing none, council, please vote. Did we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Now, council, please vote. It's unanimous. Our voting is not showing up behind us on the big screen, so it's throwing us off a little bit there. Okay, we are now moving on to item 26R. This is adoption of the tentative budget for fiscal year 2016.
And
Swenson.
Katie Gregory, the Deputy Director of Budget and Finance, will make the presentation on this item. And this, of course, is the step under Arizona law termed the tentative budget, which is a reflection of the budget that was recommended and approved by the council to move forward to this step after extensive review and discussion by the council in the budget sessions you had earlier in the spring. So with that, I'll turn it over to Katie.
Great. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we begin the first in a series of formal adoption procedures for the FY 2016 budget. You'll be asked this evening to adopt the tentative budget, and the tentative budget is what sets our maximum appropriation for the upcoming fiscal year. Throughout the development of a budget, it really begins and ends with council information or council input. Throughout the budget process, this council has had an opportunity to provide feedback and policy guidance as it relates to your key priorities. And those touch points really set the framework for how we developed the budget, and many of those priorities, as you are aware, are reflected in the budget that is presented before you this evening. In terms of our financial principles, this slide outlines some of the key budget policy guidelines that are established in Council's adopted principles of sound financial management. Each year, as part of our process, we update the 5-year long-range financial forecast that incorporates both revenue and expenditure estimates for all the city's major operating funds. It includes all revenues that are anticipated to be sustainable or recurring over the forecast, and any of our known ongoing expenditure requirements as well. And then we also make sure that we've met all our reserve requirements and apply any balance above our reserves to be used in subsequent years as one-time items. Just as a quick recap, we really have two processes that we run in the city in terms of budget development. The first is the operating process, and that really is, the operating budget is what really supports our day-to-day activities and is largely supported through taxes, user fees, and rates, and supports a lot of services such as police and fire, the parks and recreation, or excuse me, community services, water, wastewater, streets, and all the administrative services of the city. We also have a capital budget, which provides funding for large one-time capital projects such as new roadways and repairs, water and wastewater pipes and facilities, trails and parks, and the like. These projects are supported by one-time funding, such as the transportation sales tax, bond funds, impact fees, and in the case of water and wastewater, our utility rates. The approval of the tentative budget includes the approval of the first year of the capital program, which you'll also be asked to approve as part of the final budget adoption as well. This slide really shows the budget history over the past 10 years. And so just for your understanding, the tentative budget, the recommended tentative budget is $511 million. And that's about an 8.72% increase over the previous year. The two largest categories in the budget are the operating and the capital budgets, and the total operating budget that you can see here in green is approximately 50% of the total at about $256 million. And about half of that is the city's general fund at $131 million. The capital budget for fiscal year 16 totals $169 million. And the other categories you see on here are our debt service and our contingency, which we also do as part of our, the contingency is appropriated as part of the tentative budget in order to deal with anything throughout the year that maybe we are unaware of or that we need to need for unforeseen items. And of course, the City Council has to provide the authorization for us to use that each time we need to use that throughout the year. So some important takeaways to the budget as it was recommended are that, that it is a balanced budget. It's a requirement, and it is a balanced budget that once again keeps your principles intact and maintains our services. There are no changes to the city's sales tax rate or the property tax rates. On May 19th, Council did approve some recommended adjustments to the city's water and wastewater utility rates, and we've incorporated those into the fiscal year 2016 budget. There are no increases in the city's base rate, base residential and commercial solid waste rates, but Council did approve a slight change or adjustment to our commercial roll-off rates at the last Council meeting. And overall, this budget really does ensure that we address the important organizational objectives such as customer service and the Council objectives such as economic development and maintaining our quality services for our residents. So again, this evening, really this first action is for the formal budget, is the first action of the formal budget process. We're asking Council to adopt the tentative budget. And again, just to set that maximum appropriation, we will bring forward the final budget for a public hearing and adoption on June 16th, along with the CIP, the Truth in Taxation and the Property Tax Levy. And then we'll bring the Property Tax Levy adoption back on July 7th. With that, I can answer any questions.
Council, any questions? Mr. Patena.
Thank you, Mayor. Barry, Katie, I'd like to thank you for a job very well done. I believe you met all the council goals and requests that we had. The budget workshops for us, they were streamlined and well presented and easy to understand, so thank you very much.
Councilmember Leone?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that on this budget, it's a great budget. Every year I say the same thing. You'll probably hear me say it again. You people do a lot of work. You put in there what the staff asks you and what the council asks you. And I want to congratulate you on this budget. Everything in there I support, outside of 2 items, and I know this isn't the final one, right?
That's right, this is the tentative.
I'll come back in 2 weeks, and I know you can't add to it, but you can take off. So my thing is taking off is the water increase rates and Northern Parkway and a capital budget. And those are the only 2 that I like to take off. If not, I will support it today, but in 2 weeks from now, I won't be able to support it. Thank you.
Council, any further comments? All right, do I have a motion on item 26R, the adoption of the tentative budget for fiscal year 2016?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. It is unanimous. Thank you. We now have item 27R. This is the Capital Improvement Program, fiscal years 2016 through 2025.
And this, of course, also part of the budget is that important part of the budget which covers the planning for, engineering for, and construction of all of those important public facilities that our citizens enjoy in the city of Peoria, the roads, the parks, the water and wastewater facilities, and all of the different amenities that are constructed by the city for the benefit of the citizens. This too was a subject of considerable discussion in your budget workshops, and what's before you now was what you recommended for approval into the budget. And Katie again will give a more detailed explanation of this budget.
Sorry. Thank you, Carl. The capital improvement program is a 10-year balanced plan that addresses projects that are needed or will be needed across a broad spectrum of areas. It is a dynamic plan. We update it each year, and a great deal of effort is put into ensuring that not only critical needs are being met, but also that the cost, scope, and timing of all projects are coordinated throughout the program. City staff identify and prioritize projects, estimate project costs, determine available resources, balance our project requests within the available resources, and ultimately submit a recommended program to the City Council. One key consideration is the city's ability to fund the ongoing operations and maintenance costs associated with each project, and as such, the projected operating impacts have been incorporated into the city's long-term forecast that we discussed in the last presentation. Putting together a 10-year capital improvement program really is a year-round process in the city of Peoria. However, it's most involved from a staff perspective from September through November, where staff estimates and submits projects. And then in March, the city manager submits the recommended plan for council review. Not only does it provide a schedule of planned improvement, it also identifies the funding sources for the projects over the entire 10-year period. So we don't only fund a certain portion or certain projects. Every project that's in our 10-year program has an identified funding source that we believe will be available at the time those projects are put into our program. And tonight we're asking council to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2016 through fiscal year 2025, I can't even believe I'm saying that, capital improvement program. Some of the key themes that went into developing this year's program included incorporating projects that really addressed your council priorities as described in your March council goal setting meeting. And going forward, we'll have more funds will be invested into preserving and maintaining our existing infrastructure and delivering full projects that are well coordinated and meet our development standards throughout the city. Some significant capital projects in the upcoming 10-year program include the siting, designing, and construction of a new community park in northern Peoria, neighborhood park and trail improvements at 99th Avenue and Olive, and the acquisition of key open space parcels. There's building expansion for the police department's North Command on the campus of the Pinnacle Peak Public Safety Facility. It includes revitalization of Peoria's P83 Entertainment District, including final design and construction of a pedestrian crossing on 83rd Avenue, including monument signage, lighting, and landscaping on 83rd, Arrowhead Fountains, and Paradise Lane. Continuation of the Peoria Sports Complex improvements with a new interactive kids zone, as you've heard a lot about, and third base fixed seatings and event space. The purchase of additional treatment capacity to meet the needs of our continuing and growing development in the northwest portion of the city. And again, numerous street projects such as the Deer Valley Road improvements, intersection improvements on 75th Avenue, and the 103rd Avenue half-street improvements. Those are just some of the significant projects over the 10-year program. As mentioned before, this is a balanced plan because we've identified funding sources based on reliable revenues that will both support the one-time and the ongoing operating costs for every project in the program. It totals, the 10-year program totals $646 million, and you can see on here there's multiple funding sources that help support this plan. In the purple, or excuse me, not the purple, well, maybe purple on your screen slice there, you can see impact fees, which are used to finance large growth-related projects, and this amount also reflects a number of impact fee credit obligations for infrastructure dedications. We continue to use GO bonds as a very significant source for general government projects, and again, those GO bonds are paid for through the secondary property tax assessed on the home valuations or just the valuations of the city. This just kind of gives you an overview of kind of where those dollars are going to in terms of project types. The largest category for improvements really is in the water and wastewater, when you look at there, followed very closely by streets. We have, as I mentioned, a number of very important roadway projects planned. That also includes, I failed to mention, Lone Mountain Parkway to some degree, and, excuse me, the water line for Lone Mountain Parkway. And the city is making significant investments in quality of life amenities, which include, again, the third community park. This chart shows that year over year, our 10-year capital plan, and as you can see the change in our overall economy there, you can kind of see the assessed values from year to year has a major effect on our 10-year capital planning. And throughout it all, we've been able to maintain a healthy capital program that really does continue to address the needs and make any of the adjustments, and not have to make any adjustments to our property tax rate. So tonight we're asking council to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2016 through fiscal year 2025 capital plan. And then on June 16th, we'll be back again asking council to approve the first year of the capital improvement program as part of the overall final budget approval for fiscal year 16. Approval, excuse me. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? I have a comment. I really appreciate the capital improvement program. I mean, this is a plan that we have forecasted and that we have funded through 2025. I mean, it is, I think, an expectation and a justifiable expectation of our citizens to have us plan far in advance so that we can be sure that what we're doing now lends itself to what we want to do in the future and how we want to get there. So this is a critical component, and it's not a wish list, as Katie said. You know, this is backed by substantial funding mechanisms all along the way. I know that some cities do, you know, make a plan for long term, but it is not fully funded as ours is. And so it's something that I'm very, very proud of in the city of Peoria. And I hope that the citizens take some time, if you would like to, look online, look at our capital improvement program, and find out what is planned for our city for the long term. It's really, I think you'll be impressed. And so with that, do I have a motion? I can't see, my screen is dead. Do I have is there someone who would like to speak? Councilmember Finn?
Thank you.
Yes.
Just for the record, I think I hit my button before you spoke, so you stole my thunder a little bit.
That's just too late, isn't it?
It is too late, yes. So I wanted to compliment you on, this is a very cogent plan in my mind to go out that far and make the assumptions and have everything blend like, I just think this is, doing a budget for $500 million is impressive enough. I've been there, I've done it, I understand. This is really impressive to me, to go that far out with the plans, just like the mayor had said. So I really appreciate the effort, but I also wanted to just point out one other thing. I truly appreciate the effort to communicate with the public on some of the projects that we're doing. For example, I was very concerned about 75th Avenue and Thunderbird and how it had, I'm sorry, not 75th and Thunderbird. I was concerned about that when it happened. But now the same thing is going to be going on at 75th and Cactus, and I had some concerns about it, and I went into the businesses on the north end of that intersection, and I went in and talked to all of them, and without fail, they said, absolutely, the city was in here with diagrams and explaining to us what was going to happen, getting our input and communicating. Same thing with the small project at 79th and Thunderbird where we're expanding. Had an open house, not exactly, you know, a mad rush to get in and talk to us, but we're giving the public an opportunity to come out and speak their mind and learn a little bit more about the project. So I think it's great what we're doing, and the communication that we're getting out there is fantastic. So I commend you all on this plan. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
No, I'm going to make a motion.
Is there a motion?
I move that we accept this budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Council, please vote. All right. Carlo? Okay, so it is 6-1, it passes with Councilmember Leone dissenting. We will move on to item number 28R, Sonoran Preservation Program, open space.
Yes, and Planning and Community Development Director Chris Hawkes will make the presentation on this. But while Chris is coming up, this, of course, is the item that was before you in study session at your last meeting, and it really represents one of the most significant planning efforts that the city has undertaken in many years. It's identifying and categorizing all of the potential open space acquisition areas and preservation areas in primarily the northern part of the city, and also those cultural heritage sites that will be so important not just today but into the future of the city. And this really becomes a pivotal planning effort that is culminating this evening with your adoption, but it continues the process going forward of really identifying how we're going to be able to preserve these. So this is, if you will, the foundation piece, and what comes next will really be how we operationalize the principles in this plan to preserve and protect these assets and treasures for future generations. Chris?
Great, thank you, Carl. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Carl's absolutely right. This is a seminal document for the city. We're very proud of the document. We think it represents quite a foundational piece that will, as Carl mentioned, indicate areas that merit special consideration throughout the city. We've provided the document to you in hard copy and electronic form. Again, we believe it's a document that it's unique in that it not only connects the science and the policy framework, but also it provides a toolbox and a platform for moving forward, because as we indicated, there are going to be discussions afoot on how exactly we execute open space preservation in the future. But the document would not have been possible without the input of a variety of partners, and I'd like to acknowledge a few of them up here first. First and foremost, of course, is the Mayor and City Council. We absolutely appreciate your support over the years and your interest and your input. Also, citizens, we've had a number of different stakeholder events that have occurred over the last couple of years, different types of recreational groups we've talked to as well, everything from the ATV groups to hikers groups. And just a number of citizens are very interested and happy about this project moving forward. The project team, certainly like to mention Sean Cruzweisner on my staff, along with Jeff Sargent, who we pulled out of retirement. He's sitting in the audience as well. Very big piece as far as the open space preservation. Document was also very closely aligned with the Community Services Master Plan. So I'd like to recognize, of course, John Sefton and Kirk Haynes. And then our consultant that also supplemented our project, Logan Simpson Design, specifically Jeremy Call and Mark Hackbarth, his knowledge on cultural resource inventory. And then, as you can see, a number of other departments that played a large role as well. We've also reached out to a number of our agency and trust partners. They include the BLM, the State Land Department. You can see the list on the screen. But they were very important for us to not only understand what some of their priorities are and what might be some opportunities for us to work together on issues, but also to engage and access their expertise, their interest. We met with the City of Phoenix, the City of Scottsdale. Of course, as you know, they have very important, very successful programs as well. We also met with other types of partners, including Desert Foothills Land Trust and the Sonoran Institute, where we had an opportunity to see open space from afar. And so we definitely appreciate their assistance as well, and we believe their continuing assistance. Boards and commissions. We've taken the Sonoran Preservation Program forward. We've gotten unanimous recommendations from the Parks and Recreation Board, the Historic Preservation Commission, and also the Planning and Zoning Commission. Well, the first thing you do when you start a preservation master plan is you impart a mission statement. So I think the mission statement here is pretty simple, and the idea is to understand what areas in the city merit special attention, and what types of tools and conservation measures are you going to identify to try to save those and fulfill the community's vision. So the way in which we did that is the identification of several key elements in the document. And as I mentioned at the study session, the document, again, is not a regulatory tool. It doesn't change zoning. But what it does is, through the science, as I spoke in the first slide, it identifies a variety of data layers. We looked at everything from wash corridors to habitat wildlife to slopes, scenic corridors. and to understand where these areas that merit special consideration might be located. And in that regard, we were able to access a model that we developed and assign priorities to different types of layers so that we can understand where those areas might be. And with the goal to provide a system that is not disjointed, but we have open space features or open space areas that are connected and they create a meaningful, seamless open space system. And that's really the goal of the program, is to connect all these items of special interest. One of the things that the decision model came out with was a map that imparts focus areas of interest. So the map you're looking at here, the areas in red are the primary focus areas. So these are the areas that, again, I talked about some of the different layers of information we looked at and some of the prioritization, but it also tries to understand and indicate the development pressure that's associated with that. So obviously the area in red in the central corridor, the area down south, these are areas with high cultural significance, open space connectivity, but they're also areas that are currently in the path of development, so they're of the highest focus area that we looked at for the city. Secondary focus areas are identified in orange. You can see some of the areas along the 74 and some of the areas north, which are part of the Bureau of Land Management area. And then areas in blue include state land and also areas that are not in the near term in terms of development pressure. The document includes a implementation matrix. We talked about at the study session some of the key recommendations. Some of the recommendations that we talked about were to expand Peoria's planning area. We talked about some of the unique features north of the city's boundary in Yavapai County, particularly Hell's Gate. Also, just a number of interesting areas up there, including Castle Hot Springs Resort. We've talked about our conversations with BLM in the county about possibly some partnership opportunities in terms of the type of recreational that we might be able to look at a joint management structure, a joint menu of recreational opportunities. We've also been in contact with the State Land Department. A lot of the land in North Peoria is under the state land ownership. There are some opportunities based on some of the sensitive areas to work with them on refining the land use map and potentially looking at density transfers in other areas that might make more sense given the restriction on the land. We also talked about refining our development codes, and namely, I mean our zoning ordinance. We talked about the Desert Lands Conservation Ordinance that affects all properties north of Pinnacle Peak. We also have a hillside ordinance. So these are regulatory documents that we've worked with over the last 10 years, and during that term, we've identified areas that could merit improvement, areas that we could strengthen it, and help accomplish our vision. Also expanding support and partnerships, as I mentioned. And I think the big question is a continuing discussion on what level of open space program we want to have. And I think what a key input to that question will be, of course, is what type of funding resource or funding allocation do we want to allocate to the program. So our progress to date, I mentioned we've completed our public and agency outreach and that's meeting with a number of different agency partners, also with the stakeholders and citizen groups. We've gone to all our boards and commissions and gotten unanimous recommendations from each one. We came back to the council on May 19th, had a study session with you folks. Tonight, we are asking for your support and your adoption of a resolution to adopt the Sonoran Preservation Program. But as I mentioned at the study session, really what this does is it just ends chapter 1. I mean, we then start chapter 2, which is to implement the open space program. And again, as I mentioned, it will be reaching out to partners, accessing their expertise and their knowledge and their contacts. There will be a workshop in September that we will have a deeper dive in open space question, and also as part of that, explore and identify potential future funding sources. So we're excited. We're just starting. We're just getting going forward, but I think we have a document that we can all be proud of that I think sets a really good framework for us to start. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Council, questions or comments? All right, I've got some requests for speaker request forms. I'm going to start with Ian Dowdy. Please come up and state your name and organization for the record.
Good evening. My name is Ian Dowdy. I office at 11010 North Tatum Boulevard in Phoenix, Arizona. I direct the Sun Corridor Legacy Program for the Sonoran Institute. It is one of our 5 legacy programs that cover the Intermountain West. And my program is focused on helping communities in the Sun Corridor megapolitan region, which extends from Nogales in Mexico all the way through Prescott, to grow and prosper in ways that respect the natural resources around them and take advantage of the unique position that we have in the Sonoran Desert. And I commend this plan. I've had the opportunity to work with Chris and with the staff about the plan and review it. I think it's a tremendously good start to protecting these really critical assets throughout the city. My very first project as a planner was working as an ASU student in the Old Town Peoria area over 10 years ago now. And I am pleased to see that the city is growing up in the sense of recognizing the responsibility of preserving the landscape around the city itself. I also sit on the inaugural board of the White Tank Mountains Conservancy, which we're helping to start, along with many other West Valley partners. And we're looking forward to the city of Peoria joining us in that effort to protect the resources in the White Tank Mountains and in the broader landscape and ensure the connectivity of the ecology and the preservation of this amazing desert landscape that we all value and appreciate. So again, commendations to the staff and to the leadership here at the city, and I'm looking forward to continuing to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have another speaker request form from Robert Hall. Please state your name and organization for the record.
Okay, my name is Robert Hall. I'm a citizen of Peoria by choice and a retired taxpayer. So I just wanted to make one comment on a personal note. 33 years ago, I was transferred here from Chicago to the Phoenix area, located in the Northeast Valley at what was then the edge of the desert and the open spaces, and was able to see over 30 years how that development happened in a good way and sometimes not so good way, but certainly with the McDowell Conservancy was a great program out there. And 3 years ago, after retirement, when we were looking around for a place to downsize, we looked all around the area and really were impressed by the open spaces around here. I wanted to again go to the edge of the desert, and that's the reason we relocated here 3 years ago. I was really shocked to find out within 2 miles of my home, which is in northern Peoria, that there's 3 historical sites and about 6 prehistoric sites, very close now to development. So in the course of starting to get very interested in open spaces and preservation of our cultural heritage, I was able to read this plan that's being considered, and it's an excellent plan. It's had a lot of good work put in it. Met a number of the people that contributed and find out that this is a very well thought out plan and a good start. But the one point I guess I want to make is that maybe because I'm a newcomer, I am just blown away by how many things are out here. You know, 1,000 years ago, Peoria was a happening place. There was activity east and west, north and south, trade. We had a factory here making matatis and manos for trade with other peoples. So this place for a long time has really been a good place to be. And I was impressed. The report itself identifies over 325 prehistoric and historic sites in this study area. So we have more history, more prehistory than any other place around the valley. And a plan like this, the adoption of this plan would certainly allow us to exploit that for the community and for our cultural heritage, and particularly for the children. I could really see a good opportunity in the future to develop this into a school program, teaching the kids about what has happened here and the fact that they're really just a continuation of a long history here, similar to how the state history is taught. So anyway, I just wanted to say that this is really a great place and a great plan. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments very much. And we will be putting together a citizens committee probably in the fall, and I've got your name and contact information now. All right, and one more speaker request forms from Sonia Perillo? Perillo.
Good evening. I'm Sonia Perillo. I'm the Executive Director of Desert Foothills Land Trust. We are a nonprofit organization. We're kind of your neighboring land trust. We actually work primarily in the Carefree Cave Creek area, as far over as North Phoenix. But we got wind of this plan, I guess, maybe a couple of years ago, and we were just floored that you all were doing something this incredible. So I want to commend you, the community, the council, the staff, for the work that you've put in on this incredible plan. And we've sort of met off and on over the last couple of years, offered encouragement and assistance, and I want to extend that offer again. This is one of those things, there's not a lot of opportunities in our life to do something that really leaves a permanent legacy, and open space protection is one of those opportunities. So you're at that point where you're really making a decision that is a legacy for your community. So I hope there's a great deal of pride around that. I think it's a really incredible opportunity for your community and for all of us who live in the Valley. So I commend you for that work, and I encourage you to adopt the plan, and I hope we'll be able to continue to partner with you to implement it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Council, do we have any comments, questions? Councilmember Binsbacher?
Just some comments. I am so pleased with everything I'm hearing here this evening, from the budget to the capital improvement program and certainly this program. And I am overwhelmed at the collaboration involved here and what has gone into putting this program together. And I have heard from many citizens in the Mesquite District. And of course, this hits home for me because so much of what we have in the Mesquite District is going to be part of this program. And I'm just so proud of Peoria for making this a priority, and it truly demonstrates that we're committed to protecting our culture, protecting our history, and we want to continue to hear from citizens on this and commit to this plan moving forward, and I just am so pleased. Congratulations to you and all of staff for bringing this together the way you have. I'm very proud. It's a great moment.
Thank you. Anyone else? I concur. This is a great moment, and I'm very happy to be voting on this evening. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote, Council. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is call to the public for non-agenda items. If anyone wishes to address the City Council, you're welcome to do so at this time. Seeing no speaker request forms, we will now move on to reports from the City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Carlett. Just a couple of items under my report. The first is a series of graphs and charts from our Planning Community Development Department and our Engineering Department discussing and showing the trends in permitting in the city and development activity in the city. There's no staff report on that. It's an informational item for you. The second item is a brief staff report, and Bill Mattingly, our Director of Public Works and Utilities, will come down and recognize one of our staff members who achieved a outstanding award recognition recently in a local regional competition. Bill?
Thank you, Carl. Tonight we'd like to recognize Rosie Lopez. She's with her daughter here, Priscilla. And Rosie is one of our drivers in the solid waste division, in our trash and recycling division. And for the last 6 months, she's been operating the bulk trash program. And she drives a little tractor, we call it the Boda. And this is a tractor that they use to pick up the debris in the street. She's very skilled. She doesn't know, but I've actually watched her in the field while I was on my lunch hour watching her drive around. She's just very remarkable when it comes to operating that piece of machinery. And it was not just my observation. She participated in a valley-wide program they call a rodeo, which is an equipment rodeo. And she took first place. Of all the people that competed, she took first place. And that qualified her. She won a $100 certificate.
Hey.
And she gets to compete in an international contest to move that forward. Unfortunately, international means this year in Phoenix. Congratulate her. She's really proud of her. She did a great job, and she beat out a lot of others very qualified individuals.
And we have so many outstanding employees in the city that work so hard, and it's really nice when we can do something that's kind of fun like this. And this competition was with other cities and governmental entities where they compete against one another, and an opportunity for her to get some recognition for the great work she does. The last item I have is also an informational item, no presentation, and it's from our fire chief regarding the work that we are doing in the County Islands area and the subscriptions that we're gaining in that fire district issue that was before you several months ago. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. We will now move on to reports from City Council. We'll start with Youth Council Liaison Helt.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to report that school is over for the year. I'd like to say a special thank you to all the fantastic teachers at Liberty High School. They were an important part of making my freshman year a success. I plan to spend my summer learning to play golf and tennis and vacationing with my family. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Leone.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just got a couple of things. On the 23rd, I went down to the sports complex and went to the firefighters charity. If you haven't never gone there, when they have all these old cars, it's just great. Because every time I walk up and down those aisles and I look at those cars, I can just see myself back in 1953 when I had a 37 Buick, an old gangster's car where the door opens the opposite way. Then I had a 47 Plymouth, red, fire engine red, white walls, and those cars are boss. But as I walk down, you gotta get kind of homesick and says, why didn't I keep my old car? Today it would have been worth money. But I did enjoy myself. They had a lot of great cars there. So if you've never gone to one, go to one. And I was surprised to see one of our people there, Bobby the fire chief, with a 37 LaSalle. I don't know if anybody ever heard of those, but I was only 2 years old when those things were made. And his looked better than mine. His really looked like a gangster's car, the way the door opened. But it was great, and I wish him lots of luck with that car, and it was just great to go to that charity. And if you've never gone, I think, excuse me, someday you should get to go down there. On the same day, I was invited to a housewarming party, Tara and Bo's housewarming party. It was just great. I want to congratulate the firefighters and ASME and everybody else that donated to these people. They got a beautiful home. It was all done up, and you know, if I have a home like that that needs to be fixing up, I know who to call now. But it was just great, and they had a dun tank there and 50-50 drawing. But it was great, and I'm glad they got a beautiful home there. On Saturday, I went to a, on the 23rd also, I went to Ian's graduation party, and it was great. There were so many people there, I couldn't find my way out. But I want to congratulate Ian. He's going to a school in my home state, and I told him when I was a kid at 15 years old, I was working on a truck that delivers magazine and papers, and Harvard was one of them. And it was just a great school, And like I say, I never known Harvard to win a football game, but who knows, someday they might. But I want to congratulate Ian. Lots of luck to you. And the last thing I want to say, Saturday on the 30th, again, we had a great day at the shredding. We had about 200 cars come in there, and the people just loved it. And it's important to get rid of all those important papers so nobody will take it. We had some people that wasn't sure if they were going to grind them up, so we had to get out of the car and watch them do it. But it was great. It was a great turnout, and I expect to have another one within about 5 months. Thank you. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Hunt.
Yes, I have several things tonight. First of all, I want to send best wishes to Battalion Chief Mike Moore and Captain Rob Brewster, who were involved in an accident this week in a battalion chief car automobile on the way to a drowning incident. Should remind all of us to be really careful when lights and sirens are coming. Pull over to the right. This was the fault of a driver who didn't do that. And both of these firefighters are okay, as I understand. But it just should remind us, too, that every time our firefighters and police officers go out there, they're in danger, whether somebody's pulling a gun on them or just being out there in traffic with people as much as they are. And always remember to thank them for their service. Gosh, a lot happened in my district the last 2 weeks. I, too, along with several of my council partners, were at Tierra and Beau's home celebration on the 23rd, and a nice young couple, and they've been through so much, and they were really supported by the ASME group, put together their entire house rebuilding, but lots and lots of volunteers came out to help them. And then lots of their community friends came that day to support them and say, we're behind you and we're glad that you're back in our community. And Ian, I remember your group 10 years ago coming to help us in Old Town. I think you met one of your meetings at my bed and breakfast over there. Yep. Yep. Well, we're still working on it, okay? Community garden, very good news on that. Last Saturday was very busy in the Acacia District. We had our first community garden information meeting at the community center. We had about 40 people turn out to find out what was going on, to sign up for beds, and thanks to John and Eric, who engineered much of that and are doing the heavy lifting on the organization. It's just good to know that this district is taking sustainability so seriously. And these are families that want fresh vegetables for their kids. We are in a food island right here in our downtown area. So this is going to be great to help. I zoomed from that event to one of the Habitat for Humanity homes in Varney, and that is a home sponsored by APS, and it's a solar home. So APS is sponsoring, Habitat for Humanity is building the home, and APS is putting solar on it so that the family's energy bill will be manageable. Kathy, I want to say thank you to you for holding your first community meeting in Acacia down at Peoria Cafe. Unfortunately, my granddaughter was graduating that day, and I was not able to be there, but I think you had about 20, didn't you? And 25, and I've had so many people tell me, oh, it was so much fun, and she's a real person, and she's so nice, and everything. I said, yeah, I could have told you that. Rosie, congratulations. Whoops, she's gone. Who knew that there was a rodeo for that kind of trash pickup vehicles? But, you know, whatever. That's really great. And Kirk, it's so good to see you out here. Thank you so much for what you did on the Sonoran plan. And I could go on and on and on. You were here when Ian was here with his group. I know you worked with them. You are Peoria to me. I've said that before. I can't imagine Peoria without you. You were here when I came, and we will miss you so much. And for those of you that may not know, Kirk is following his heart to another city, and I'll let him explain that and try to get away without getting beat up, okay? And I think that's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Finn.
Just a quick comment on the open house. I also had an opportunity to attend, and I just want to thank everybody for everything that they did. City employees, people that donated, contractors, everybody. It's amazing to me what a group of people can do when there is a family in need, and what happened there was just, in my mind, just amazing. It was incredible. So I just want to thank everybody, for anyone who contributed to that in any way, shape, or form. You really should feel good about yourselves, because that was just an amazing result. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Youth Council Liaison Mullane.
Thank you, Mayor. To echo what Michael said, yes, school is out. So it's really, really nice. I believe that this will be my second to last council meeting that I will be attending as the council youth liaison. It's been an incredible learning experience, truly, truly incredible learning experience, learning with the city of Peoria, and learning how the city of Peoria functions, what it does, being able to work with these amazing council members that are so supportive of the youth. So I'll have, time to speak at the next one. So I promise I won't go too long here, but it's been an extraordinary experience so far. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Councilmember Bensbacher?
Yes, quickly, I want to echo the comments of the other council members, but expand a little bit on May 23rd, which was a fantastic day in Peoria. I too was at the housewarming and went to Peoria Firefighters Charities car show, and in the morning was at Coffee with a Cop that Peoria PD hosted at Java Grounds, and I saw cars and homes and coffee, but what really stood out to me was the community coming together, and again, the sense of pride that I felt, and was able to share that day with my family and see what a community can do when they come together. And truly, mountains were moved, and it was unbelievable. And again, just more pride. I was very, very proud to be part of it. So congratulations, Peoria. It was a great day.
Thank you. Councilmember Patana?
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to say congratulations to you, Kirk. You're going to the city of Avondale, is that right? Well, Avondale's gain is certainly our loss. And if you recall, so many years ago, I actually sat on the panel that voted to hire you. And that certainly wasn't a mistake. And I wish you nothing but the very best. You've done amazing things for Peoria, and it shows all through the park system. So thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Edwards?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one announcement. For those residents in Peoria that are interested, there is a meeting this coming Thursday in Glendale at the Planning and Zoning Committee. They will be discussing the proposal of billboards along the 101 freeway and Bell Road. If you're interested in not having billboards come to that area, because this will be the first of many, you need to attend this meeting. It's this coming Thursday, June 4th at 6 o'clock at the Glendale City Hall, which is at 5850 West Glendale Avenue. You need to come out and show your support. If you don't, billboards will start coming into this area, and that's the last thing we need is more billboards in the area. So please, I implore you to come out and show your support for no billboards. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Wow, I don't think there's anything that hasn't been said. So with that, we are adjourned.